Hi, I'm Pat Narduzzi, Michigan State University defensive coordinator, and today we're going to try to educate you, coach you up on our base fronts and stunts that we use here at Michigan State University, and really we've been using it as a staff for the last 10 years, going from Cincinnati at 3 years and really going on year number 7 here at Michigan State University. We've had the opportunities to be a great defense last 2 years. We've been in the top 5 and really a bunch of categories in the nation, and we've been number 1 in the Big Ten the last 2 seasons. So as a high school coach out there, a college coach that's trying to pick up some new things up front, I think we're very simple in what we do. We don't do a lot. We get into one front, and that's why we'll kind of talk about the one front that we're in and all the little variations that we need to get into to stop the run and be a productive defense in the Big Ten Conference. Well, where we're going to start today is really just to start off with our base 4-3 and where our fronts, and really just try to get you lined up. I think the first thing we need to do is, and every coach needs this, is just to get lined up from a starting point of where we put our 11 guys on the field and how we set those guys up. So, but before we even hit to that, I'm going to put up one thing that has really been impressive for us. We think in the past, we've always come in as coaches and said, hey guys, this is what we want you to do. So this is kind of a little bonus to this video. And I think anytime you tell your kids, hey, get up and make your bed and do this or do that, they kind of look at you and really don't want to do it. So in the last few years, we've had our kids make up what they want to be. And every year is something different. And last season, 2012 season, our kids came up with this. They come up with the artistic work. They come up with the words that are on there and just talk about exactly what they want to be instead of us telling them what they need to be. So last year they call themselves the Spartan Dog, so thus there's a dog there. And what they wanted to be is an elite group united to wreak havoc, instill fear, and dominate the country. And again, we were top 5 defense in the country last year, and really what they said they wanted to do, they ended up doing. And then we got all these different bonus words that they talk about every week about, hey, this is what we need to do to be that wreaking, dominate the country type defense, and being relentless, being nasty, being hungry, swarming, being a devastating defense, suffocating offenses. MAP is making plays, dominating, playing with a lot of swag, turnovers, getting big hits because we think that's a thing. And then I guess a new age thing for the kids is to turn it up. They want to turn up. So that's something that again our kids look at. They think that's what they become, and really the last few years when we've done it, they really have been what they said they want to be, and so every year we look forward to seeing what the kids are going to do. So I think it's something that you can take back to your coaching, your coaching staff and your head coach, and say this is, we're going to make our kids tell us what they want to be as opposed to us telling them what to be. Again, base fronts and alignments. Our base front is called over, okay? Again, we'll go through here and it'll all be on the screen, but our end, okay? We have 2 defensive ends. Our call side end is going to be in what we call a 9 technique, and we'll see video on that. Our rush is going to be away from the tight end, it'll be in a 5 technique. If there's 2 tight ends, he is still in a 5 technique. They must listen to a Ringo or Lucky call to align themselves. Our tackle, he is what we call our 3 technique. He aligns to the call side. The call means to the call, and he'll be in a 3 technique alignment. Our nose tackle is away from the call. He is in a 1 technique alignment in our base over front. Our Sam is what we call 50 technique, which means he's in a 5 technique off the line of scrimmage. So the 5 and the 0 mean 5 off, which again, our linebackers line with 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, heels at 5. Our Mike linebacker, again, base alignment is at a 10 to the call. So whichever way the tight end is, he'll make that call. He'll line in a 10, which is a 1 technique off the line of scrimmage. And then finally, our will linebacker will be in a 50 technique, just like the Sam. And again, a 50 is a 5 technique off the line of scrimmage. And that's kind of how we align our base guys. Again, Every formation may give us a tiny little different change, and we'll kind of talk about those here in a second, because I think, again, everything starts with how we get aligned. The first thing we talk about is getting the call and then getting aligned, and these are our base alignment rules, and we'll flip through and show you a little bit different. Versus a pro set, okay, and again, whatever you guys call that formation, again, just a basic pro set. You can see call side end is in a 9 technique, okay, call side tackle is in a 3 technique. Our nose tackle is in a 1 technique, shaded off of the center in a 5 technique, okay? Our Sam linebacker, again, in a 50. 5 technique is right there, off the line of scrimmage, heels at 5 yards. Our Mike is in a 10 to the call, so he should be maybe slid over just a little bit more. And again, our Mike is in a 50, or excuse me, our Will is in a 50 off the line of scrimmage. Both of our safeties, and again, this is more of a front, but I want to at least give you the whole contour of the defense. But our safeties are lining up at 9 to 10 yards, okay? And they're lining up, you know, when a tight end's at catch in a 10 by 2, 9 by 2, outside of the end man on the line of scrimmage. And our corners are always pressed out there. We play a lot of quarters coverage, which is another videotape that we've talked about. Again, I think you can run this front, okay? When I talk front, I'm talking about those front 7 guys. But when you run that front, you can do it with really any coverages, and we mix it up and play some different coverages with one main coverage being our cover 4 or quarters coverage. Okay, so that's how we line up versus a pro formation. Our guys use those base alignments, and that's kind of where it starts from. We can move that guy right in here to a 2 tight end set, and everything would look exactly the same, except that corner would now tuck in. Versus a slot formation, single width formation. Again, call side is to the left here. Again, our end line up in a 9 technique, 3 technique, 1 technique, 5. Those 4 guys never change. They never change if we call over defense. The linebackers are our major adjusters. Our DBs will have to adjust on different formations, but these guys, when they hear over, they know there's going to be a 9, a 3, a 1, and a 5, period, okay? And I think that's an important thing. We have a different way to align these guys, okay? A different way to align them all the time. Just to give them a little bit different, so there's variations there. And I think that's one multiple thing that we do is, again, align them the same, but then change them up with some movement in the end. Versus what we call doubles formation, a 2 tight ends set, okay? Again, Mike linebacker's making a call, saying it's you know, we'll just say it to the left, so the strength is to the left. So we have, again, our 9, okay, our 3 technique, and now our nose tackle moved from a 1 to a 2-eye. Our base rule versus this formation is to play what we call a G, okay, which is a 2-eye. We'll get into more of that here in a few minutes, but he'll be in a G versus this formation. Whenever we see that there's a 2 tight ends, really double strength, we don't want to sit in a 1 technique. We'd like to be in a 2-eye, okay, and again, you can see our 5 technique on the back side. Anytime they've taken, you know, 2 back set and made it a 1 back set, but again, pretty much that's a fullback. So if he was back there, everything's balanced. And as soon as he does that, we're saying there's a little bit more strength over there, so that's why we move our nose there. And we also balance up our linebackers, okay? So our Sam linebacker will get more to a 40 technique, okay? So he'll be pretty much head up on the tackle. Our Mike will move over to a 10, what we call 10 weak, or 10 away from the call. And our Will linebacker, again, will still stay in that 50 alignment because we want to be good on the B-gap inside zone, away that would possibly cut back there, and also good for an outside zone to the weak side. Again, you can see through all the pictures, our corners, again, are pressed, and our safeties are, you know, playing basically 10 by 2. Versus a 1 back set, we call it out formation, whatever you call it. Again, a pro twin set, tight end flanker, 2 receiver set. Again, you can look at our front, a 9, a 3, a 1, and a 5. Okay? Sam linebacker continues to stay in a 50. Our Mike is in a 10 to the strength of the formation, which is the tight end. Our adjusting backer in this case is our Will linebacker. Okay? And this is a critical coaching point, and I think everybody needs to know what it is. And it doesn't change versus any of the different fronts or stunts that we'll go with and talk about here in a little bit. But our Will linebacker is walked out halfway between number 2 and the end man on the line of scrimmage. He's again, halfway alignment based on down and distance. So if it's 3rd down and 1, he's going to creep in the box. We hope there's some type of disguise by him as far as where he's aligned, so a quarterback's not looking out there saying, man, he's not respecting, the bubble or he's too close in the box, we're going to throw it, or he's too far out of the box, we're going to run it. So we want him in that halfway alignment, again, bouncing in and out a little bit so people don't know exactly where he is. That's his base adjustment. Nobody else adjusts as far as the linebackers go except for the one linebacker anytime it's a two receiver set. Versus what we call wide formation. It's a tight end trips. So 1, 2, 3 trips set with a tight end set included in the trips. Again, up front, again, 9, 3, 1, 5. Our backers are bumped over. Sam backer is, again, a halfway alignment, okay, between the number 2 receiver and the end man on the line of scrimmage. Again, adjusting based on down and distance and what the backfield set and everything else we've taught him game plan wise. But anytime we get a trip set, our Mike linebacker now will what we call bump trips. Okay, so they're going to bump over now. So the Mike is going to bump over to what we call 50 alignment, and our Will linebacker is going to bump over, into a 30 alignment, and our Will is going to line over into a 30 alignment as well. So they're in a 3 technique off the line of scrimmage. They're bumping towards the trip set. Okay, again, our base way of lining up, and again, the secondary stays the same there. Versus the trip set. Okay, versus the trip set. Again, same thing as we saw in the previous photo, okay? Let me go back to it here. Again, it's a trip set here, but it's a tight end trips. The strength is to the tight end, okay? And I'm going to go back to the trips just so we get another view. Again, it's a trip set, but now the tight end, and we don't care who the people are, but we care where they're aligned. They could just move that tight end out here a little bit wider. Doesn't matter if they're bunched up or anything. But now we say the strength, passing strength is here, so we still bump our linebackers towards the passing strength. But one different thing we do is we call the run strength the other way. Okay, we cannot put our 3 technique here and also bump all our linebackers there and also bump all of our safeties there. Okay, so the DBs and linebackers have to align where their passing threats are. So we'll kick the front away to give us a little bit more strength to the weak side so that this Mike linebacker is really playing a B gap off of number 3 in the passing game. Okay, so again, this is a Ringo call with the 3 technique being on the backside. So again, now because there's no tight end, this is the first no tight end set. We don't need to be in a 9 and be lined up way out here. He's lined up in what we call a ghost 9 technique, okay, a loose 5, whatever you want to call it. But again, now you have a 5 technique and a 3 technique. Okay, and if you want to call them a 9, you can call them a 9. Our 1 technique and our 5 technique. Again, backer's going to bump out. Either outside of number 2, or outside number 2, or even inside of number 2, depending on the split. Our Mike, again, will line up in what we call 50 technique, which is a 5 technique off the line of scrimmage. And our backside backer, again, will be in what we call a 30 off the outside shoulder of the guard. Okay, and that's what we look like versus a trip set, what we call trips. Okay, versus ace, a 2x2. It really doesn't matter where that Mike determines the strength is. We're going to have a 3 technique. There's still no tight end, so we won't have a 9 technique. Okay, but this end knows that it was a lucky call, so it's to the left. Okay, so we put our 3 technique to the left. Our end is this way. Again, he can be a little wider knowing that he doesn't have to squeeze that B gap down as much because he's got a player of his own in that gap taking care of it. Okay, our nose is in a 1, our end's in a 5. It's a balanced set, so our Mike, again, okay, is lined up in a 10 to the call side, to the 3 technique side. Backer, anytime he has 2 detached receivers, walks out halfway between the end man on line of scrimmage and the receiver. Same thing into the boundary, halfway between the end man line of scrimmage and the receiver. Again, bouncing around, dictating everything based on down and distance, what we know by that formation, what a team likes to do. Okay, and finally versus what we call tight formation. Okay, 2 tight ends with 2 backs, where your corner is tucked in. Again, call side left side here, 9 technique. 3 technique, okay? Anytime there's 2 tight ends, we do what we call check G and put him in a 2I, and we have a 5 technique, okay? Backers don't have to bump over like we did versus a 2 tight end, 1 back set because the corner's sitting right there for him. So the Mike will still stay in a 10 to the call side, which is to the left side here, okay? Backer still in a 50, Will linebacker still in a 50, safeties adjust accordingly, and now the corner is tucked in there in case they want to run to that D gap. So here's, the front we're talking about, our over front. Again, our corners, okay? are pressed out on the number one receiver if there's a number one receiver out that side. And you can see our safeties are somewhere between 9 yards and 10 yards deep, 2 yards outside end man on line of scrimmage. And again, we're focusing on these guys in the box, which is what we call our front, okay? The rest of these guys over here is what we call our coverage, okay? Even though the linebackers are involved in the front and the coverage when you talk pass game. The one thing we're going to talk about here is these guys are in a gap, okay? We're in a gap-aligned football team, so these guys are all in those gaps that we talked about, a 5 and 9, a 3 and 1. They're going to maintain their gap responsibilities, okay? And I'm going to fast forward here just to let you play it out and to see it from an end zone look. So they've got those gap responsibilities, okay? We're going to get people up inside. We're going to have plenty of people on the field to run to the football and chase things down. But our base philosophy, okay, our base philosophy here is this. We're going to turn these guys loose. They have these gaps, okay? Are they always in their gaps? No. Okay, they got the hardest job on the football team is staying in their gap because their margin of error is so small. So they're up there. We want them attacking off the ball, okay? They're attacking those gaps that we've lined them up in, okay? When we just stay in what we call this over front, we're not moving them at all, okay? They're targets because when you look at it, this guy's 350 pounds, 310 pounds, whatever it may be, versus a 250-pound D end, okay? You got two 300-pounders versus maybe a 300-pounder, so it's 600 versus 300. And the same thing goes there as far as a double team. So we talk about these guys being statues almost when we're sitting in that position, and these guys can tee off on them. And you're going to see later on that we won't always stay in a statue position. So our philosophy is to be able to play great base defense, staying in those gaps, and then as we talk more about our stunts, we're going to be moving these guys, whoever it may be, okay, 1 at a time, 2 at a time, 3 at a time, 4 at a time, to get them into different gaps and cancel those gaps, which is really our different fronts that we'll end up lining up in. So as you look at it, okay, first thing we want to do is key the ball. We're coming off the ball. We want to shoot our hands and roll our hips, and Coach Burton will talk more about really our technique up front and how we're doing it, okay? But you can see 9 technique, 3 technique, 1 technique, okay, and our 5 technique, okay? They will put their hand down to the person in their lineup. So this guy will have his left hand down, his left foot back, and his right foot up, okay? So we always want to put our hand down to the alignment or technique that we're playing in, okay? We're getting off the ball. You can see our 3 technique gets reached a little bit there, but you know what? That's okay, okay? That happens. He's got a tough job. He stays in his gap. He stays in his gap, and our defensive end. So 3 out of 4 guys, okay? 3 of the 4 guys stay in their gap. This guy that comes out of his gap actually causes some havoc and makes the tailback bounce a little bit. Okay, and again, we're going to have speed on the field, and we're going to be able to chase that thing down. And I'll go back to the wide here and just, again, watch it one more time all the way through. So, again, this run is what we call an inside zone. They're trying to run the ball inside. Anytime somebody wants to run the ball inside, we want to make inside run bounce outside, okay? We want to make it bounce outside, go where it's not designated to go. So they really wanted to run the ball inside. We forced them to run it outside. The ball goes outside. We don't make the play in the backfield there. But we got people that are running the ball, okay, and we got a no-gainer there, and that's what we're looking for. Our safeties are our cutback players and hit players on the front side. It's a nice job by Darquez Denard, our corner. Again, just showing you how we fit up some other plays. Again, we talk about the front. Here we have just a little bit of a disguise by an outside linebacker showing up like he's going to blitz, okay? And we've got some different blitzes. You know, we want to make receivers. We want to make the offense think about it. We may still be in that base front and not moving, and we may be moving. We want to make indecision out of all 11 guys on the offense so they don't know. So I like when I see a receiver has to point because you know what? Now he's not thinking about that route he might run or who he's supposed to block. So we got somebody thinking there. You got the quarterback looking out there, you know, playing with this towel going, I wonder if that guy's coming or not, trying to evaluate it. You know, at the same time, hopefully you got a safety sliding over there if he does blitz, okay, that we're trying to make things look the same. So he comes back, okay, now maybe he's not blitzing, but he could still come from that blitz. So we talk a lot about disguise. I think that's a great disguise by the outside linebacker there. Again, a 9, a 5, a 1, and a 3 technique. That's our base front. And again, it looks simple. I didn't have to go far to get this cut up together because we play a lot of that. We are not trying to trick anybody with what that whole picture looks like. If you watch the game on Saturday afternoon, you're going to see us line up in there, like that, and then all of a sudden you're going to see changes happen with our defensive line, our linebackers, and our safeties, okay? Here's something that looks like a pass. It ends up being a draw. Our D-line, again, attacking their gaps. Our backers are downhill trying to diagnose run and pass. We'll go to the end zone here. Again, you can see the 5, the 1, the 3 technique, and the 9 technique. Again, the see and pass. We're trying to teach them as far as, what they're feeling. Is it a run, pass, or is it a draw? Kids do a good job of attacking people, thinking it's a draw. We got people, again, in his gap, in his gap, in his gap, in his gap. And then our linebackers are doing a good job reading it, and we get to the ball. And again, this is just what we call like a lead draw action. And it's a nice job by Will Golston there, who plays for the Buccaneers now. Going to the next formation. Now we're getting to a one-back set. Again, we talked already about how we align to these things. I want to make sure you see it. If this receiver right here, it's a one-back set now, okay? If he would have been way out here, this outside linebacker is going to be in that halfway point between the end man on line of scrimmage and the number 2 receiver, okay? But this receiver's in a tight alignment, so he's sitting right in there, okay? The reason we want in a one-back set that guy in a halfway alignment is because he's a hitter. And as we go through some of this tape, you're going to see that guy constantly come into the box, okay? And we call this the box, okay? That is box. That's where the ball is being run a majority of the time. We want to get that guy in the box. So he's removed by alignment, but he's not removed so much that he can't also get back in the box and help maintain that we're one of the top rush defenses in the country. So this guy goes in motion, boom, okay? One-back set, just turned into a two-back set. You can see who moves, the 2 safeties and the 3 linebackers, okay? Slight adjustment, one-back set, he walks out halfway. Matter of fact, it's a one-back set, but it ends up being trips. So you got 1, 2, 3 receivers. So all 3 linebackers got to move because he yelled bump trips. Okay, so he moved to a 30 alignment. He moved to a 30, and we'll see it from the end zone. Receiver or tight end moves back in the box. It's just a 2-back set. Doesn't matter if it's I-backs, what we call far backs, which he's far away from the tight end, or if it's near backs is where they end up here in this picture here. Does not make a difference for our linebackers as far as their base alignments. The base alignments, whether it's I or near backs, would be 50, 50, and a 10 by our backers. Okay, and our safeties getting the same alignment. So here we got the power play. Okay, power is telling you the guard's pulling, and again they're overloading the front side or tight end side. Again, just trying to pound it in there. So again, ends up being a 2-back set. You can see our corners are still pressed. 9 technique, 5 technique, 3 and a 1. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening up front. We're getting a base block. This is what we call power lock. Okay, I believe we're getting a base block right there. So he's got that gap. We're getting a double team here on the 3 technique. Okay, he's just going to stay in his gap. Nose tackle is getting a center block and back, guard pull. Okay, his job is to squeeze that center, try to squeeze that backside A gap down and possibly cross face into it. Okay, we want to cancel it. It's an inside run. Okay, it's an inside run, and we want to make sure that inside run has to bounce outside. We don't want it being run inside. And the backside player is getting a hinge. Okay, again, he's a B-gap player, and he's going to try to squeeze. Same thing, he's going to try to squeeze down that hole right there. There's a cutback lane, but if the tailback cuts it back, we hope our coverage or our safety is in that lane. Okay, and our backers obviously are getting downhill. So again, a base over front. Okay, remember when we call over, okay, it's a 1 technique. We have different ways to move these guys and get them into different formations. Here's another, again, 2-back set. Okay, the strength is to the right. Got a tight split by the receiver, so corner comes off instead of being pressed. Okay, same type of power. This is a power where they're now trying to block the mic here and kicking out the defensive end. Okay, so it's a true power. We'd like to see our 3 technique a little firmer in his gap right there. Okay, we don't want him to create any holes, but again, the same blocking scheme. You can see Shalik Calhoun squeezes down. There's not a whole lot of, I see a big green wall up front, and that's kind of what we want. DN's trying to get underneath and spill, make that thing go outside. There's not a whole lot of room in here, so his best bet is to bounce it outside, but if he wants to ram it up there and run through his offensive lineman, you can see the guard is pulling around, gets turned around, and the tailback really gets tackled by the guard. We'll use their lineman to make the tackle. And again, pretty good fit by the linebackers and just finding the hole. So that's pro formation. Here's a little bit different formation, okay? It's a form of a slot formation. And again, sometimes we'll travel our corners over, but again, the strength is to the right, so we got a 9 and a 5 we got a 3 and a 1 technique. So there's our base front over. Our linebackers adjust. Our backer here still has a 2-back set, okay, but he's got a detached number 2 receiver, so he's got to go cover down on him. Halfway alignment between those 2 guys. Still playing run first. He's got to get in the box. You can see nobody can block that guy as he gets in the box. Okay? Again, trying to attack up front here. Using our hands. Great penetration by our both D tackles. Good hat and hands here. Trying to get cut on the backside. They don't, cut is all or none, and they got none there. Another nice play in the backfield. Get into a 1-back set now. We've seen them line up into some 1-back, but now we got a 1-back set. That's the quarterback. Okay, you can see linebacker walks out halfway in between end man line of scrimmage and receiver. We got our 9, 3, 1, and 5 up front. Again, a little disguise as far as, are we blitzing, are we not? Okay, make them think about it. And again, because it's a 2 receiver, okay, 2 receiver by 2 receiver, okay, these 2 inside backers don't bump. A lot of people when they're over front will bump those backers, okay? The negative to bumping these backers versus a 2 by 2, if we were to bump Max over to here and bump him to there, puts a lot of stress on this safety to be a big run fitter, number 1, and also be able to carry that tight end vertical. So we know we're going to get this outside linebacker in the box, so we don't have to scoot them over to 30s. As soon as you do that, now you're a lot weaker to the tight end run. So here we're seeing tight end run. You can see he's in a 50 alignment, he's in a 10 alignment, and you can see your 9, 3, 1, and 5. And they should struggle to run the ball to the tight end side. So this ends up being a 1-back power, okay, a 1-back power lock. Again, and staying in his gap, we can see there's a big hole here, but we're going to end up having 2 players plus a possible safety fitting in there to stop it if we need them. And again, we're not going to have linebackers running by holes, okay, just because they feel like there's a big hole out there. They got to fit inside out. Again, let that guy go to that hole. Let him bounce it out there, okay. Now, if Denikos was a little bit faster, number 28 there, then the Mike might come over tight, and the safety's still going to fit there. Not great at the 3 technique here. Too high. Got to be firm. Really, both inside guys aren't great here. Getting knocked off the ball there by Boise. Nice job by their offense. Okay, get another 1-back set. 1, 2, 3 receivers over there. He bumps out halfway between 2 and 3. We bump trips because there's trips over there, so those guys should both be in 30 alignments. Okay, and again, the front is the same, a 9, 3, 1, and 5. A little bit of quarterback draw, okay, which is tough because these D-line are thinking pass, okay, then they got to what we call retrace their steps and get back into the ball. But they're all in their gaps, and hopefully the linebackers got a clue what's going on as far as the backfield set. So Denikos sees pass here, he steps up, sees the tailback coming over, and gets himself in position to go ahead and make a tackle. You can see 40's a little bit more faked out because his number 3 is over here. He ends up getting back in there late, but draws a good football play. But our D-line is expected to stop that play, and they do. It's another 1-back set. Okay, a little bit different alignment by this one. We end up rolling our secondary, but regardless, okay, we got tight end is here, strength. We got a 9 and a 5, a 3 and a 1 inside. Our backers adjust. The backer, you can see, he starts off out here between 2 and 3. And then when the secondary makes a coverage check here, he scoots in the box. But the front stays the same. You can see 50, 10, and the backer's still coming in the box. Again, we got a 1 technique, okay? And I want to show you, he's a little bit looser 1 technique. I wish he was a little bit, I wish I couldn't see the center's knee, okay? Over defense, okay? Over defense, okay, should be great, okay, when they run the ball to the tight end. Because our 1 technique, okay, is closer to the tight end side. If we were to move him out here into a 2-eye, okay, technique, well then it should be pretty good for them to run the ball to the tight end. I don't expect when we play 1 technique for our nose tackle to get cut off like that. Now I told you earlier, we're not always in our gap. Again, in his gap, okay, in his gap. So again, we're 3 out of 4 again, but I'd like to have that guy line up a little bit tighter with his inside foot inside of his foot so we can get a piece of that center as we attack and then get flat. We should not be blocked by a backside guard when the ball's run away, okay? I would expect him to get reached possibly or backside cutoff if he was in a 2-eye. We'll show you some of that here in a minute. But you see backers are getting downhill. We're attacking aggressively with the backers and the D-line. And we're still able to overcome a nose tackle that's laying on the ground. Now we're going to talk about our over G front, okay? And a lot of times we'll just refer to it as G and get rid of the over. But for our younger guys, we want them to understand it's just like over. Over is our base. When we play with an over front, it's a 1 technique. When we call our G front, the big difference, and that's why it's in red, is now we're going to play with the 2-eye, okay? And as we talked at the end of that over with our 1 technique is great when they're running the ball to the tight end, okay? So if we know a team likes to run to the tight end, we'd rather be in a 1 and we're not going to get reached. If we think people want to run to the weak side, we'd like to be in what we call over G and put that guy in a 2-eye. And it's also something that we check to when we think they're going to run to the weak side. So the G is just for the nose tackle. That's the only person it talks to. Everybody else is the same. So that's why we'll call it over G just as a tag so our kids know that it's, hey, it's still over. Don't confuse it. All our same adjustments and alignment rules for every one of those formations we talked about already are the same. So nothing changes. It's a slight variation. It's one of our big different fronts that you're probably looking at me now saying, are you serious? That's your other front. It's another front, and it's a different front for an offensive line to be able to block. So that's what we call G front. Again, 9, a 3, and now it's a 2-eye and a 5. Backers are still playing with the same adjustment rules. So our G front, as we talked, alignments are all the same for the backers, but again, now, okay, what I expect, okay, is in our G, and we're like to stem to it, watch the guys in a 1, moves to a 2. When we're in what we call a 2-eye, okay, we should be pretty good when they run the ball to the weak side, okay? We're not very good if they were to run the ball to the tight side, okay, because that guard can get our nose tackle pretty easily and they can get up to our Mike linebacker. So as a coach, we have to have these little variations to make sure we try to put our kids in position to make the plays we need them to make. So 2-eye, okay, you can see how easily he got reached, okay? And again, pop this in here first just so you can see it. So again, not a good strategic move by us putting him in G, okay? Besides G, not only was G probably not a good call because they ran it away from the G, the D tackle ends up, or the nose tackle ends up stepping away from it, so now he might as well line up in a 3 technique, okay? But he ends up getting in a good 2-eye alignment or G alignment. You still got your 3 technique, you still got your 9, you still got your 5. That's why it's still over G, moving just 1 guy, okay? But he's in a 2-eye, steps bad, okay? But that happens sometimes. That's the guy who's got the hardest job on the football team. But either way, we're still going to be able to adjust, okay? Now, if they were to run the ball this way, he should be in great position, and really that center is going to have to help out that guard because he won't be able to help him on his own. So that's the key, is moving those guys around to based on where you're going to see the ball run. So this is a tight inside run. Nice job by the 3 technique. Again, playing his gap, seeing the ball's going inside, disengages, and ends up getting on the play. Again, in his gap, in his gap, in his gap. Again, we're 3 for 4. Again, 3 out of 4, guys, 75% of the time we'll have a guy in a gap. Okay, more G front. Again, we'd like to stem to it. Show the 1, get to a 2-eye. Show a 2-eye, get to a 1. Make the offense think about it. But again, a pro set again, you can see the 9, the 3, the 2-eye, okay, and the 5 technique. Got a little bit of motion here by the receiver. Corner kind of thought he was going over, so he's ready for him to come over. He doesn't come over, so he stays right there. But again, good attack by the front 4. We'll go to the end zone here. Again, you can see the back is offset weak to start off with, okay? So we're almost, by game plan, treating it like he almost lined up there. We're saying they're running the ball over here, so these guys just kind of plussed up and moved over just a little bit that way. You can see how the linebackers moved over a little bit that way. So instead of him being in what we call 50, okay, and him in a what we call 10 to the 3 technique side, or to the call, they slid over and treated it like a 2-back set in this particular game, okay? Again, 2-eye there, does a nice job. Look how he keeps Both those guys got to block him, okay? If he were in a one technique, okay? If he were in a one technique, he could have got reached by himself. This guy can get up there. But now we end up really targeting both of those guys, and they both have to worry about him, which is going to free up one of these linebackers, okay? You can see this guard's half blocking the 2-eye, okay? And he can't really block the backer to his side. And you can see, again, we should be pretty good to the split end side, okay? This backer got to get going a little bit fast, but he ends up not, again, getting blocked by the tight end. They can't block him except clip him. We'd like to see him get his head across on the tackle. In our 3 technique, again, 3 out of 4, again, not in his gap, gets tugged and pulled around. We'd like to see him right in that gap. His alignment's pretty good, probably just a little bit slow off the ball. He's got to shoot his down hand into the V of that guy's neck, the offensive guard's neck. So G is going to help us to the split end. Over is going to help us to the tight end. Again, echoing that. Again, here's that same thing with the motion by the receiver. Corner's going over top. Doesn't know if he's going to stop there or go over. He ends up going over. We try to match our corners. Again, G front. You can see the 2-eye right there now. Okay. Again, 9-5, 3 technique. Again, we should be good for the split end. Let's just watch where they run the ball. Okay. They're running ball inside and they're running it to the tight end. So G's not a great call, again, by me. Okay. You can see him get reached. It's a combination of him stepping that way and also, the guard moving that way, because we didn't see him get reached in a one technique when they're running the ball to the tight end side. And then backers, and again, trying to get guys flying to the football. But right now, I'm going to go back here. We started off having a trip set, just so you can see the adjustments. 1, 2, 3. So we should be in 30s by the backers. He's in between 2 and 3 there, okay, which isn't very far. You can see once this guy goes back, it's not a trip set anymore. So you can see the linebackers bump back to a 50, hopefully 50, and hopefully a 10 alignment when they bump back into those alignments. So we'll see in the end. So it really ends up being just a slot formation. This backer could walk out just a little bit more. Again, we're running the football. So there's your 2-eye, okay? And probably some communication because he's got a 2-eye saying, hey, let's run the ball this way. I don't know what they're talking about, but he feels like, hey, you can go all by yourself. I got him. There's probably a communication that this offense is communicating right there. He's letting the center know, hey, help out on the 3, climb up to the mic. I got this guy. If he were in a 1, if he were in a one technique or an over defense, I guarantee he's not pointing saying, hey, go. He's saying, hey, help me out a little bit. Give me a hand. Again, bad footwork by the 3 technique, but again, that happens up front. We'd like it to happen a little less, but again, our guys are flying. And again, we want to press and try to squeeze. Once he gets what we call overreached or he plays a bad technique, boom, that's going to happen. We're not 100%. We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. But now, how do you coach that guy? We're telling that guy to squeeze the back door, okay? Don't let that guy come up there and get double reached, okay? So we want to squeeze that guy. And again, that was your original B gap that you were lined up in. Squeeze the B with that offensive line. So watch him squeeze, and really tries to knock him back into that gap, okay? And again, it's an inside run again that ends up bouncing out to our linebacker and our safety. Again, these are all that statue fronts. Again, you can see we're not moving it all up front. Again, G front. Okay, we probably check to G because, again, we call this doubles formation. 2 tight ends. Okay, looks like they call the strength to the left side here. So we got a 9, a 3, a 2-eye over here. Okay, and then our 5 technique. So the G is to that side. They're running away from the G. So do we get reached? Yes, we do again. Okay? We get reached. They run to the tight end side. But we feel like, hey, if they want to run this side, we still got enough guys over here in our run support to take care of them over there. If they don't want to run to the weak side, we'll still be fine. So there's your 2-eye. There's your 3. They do a little check-in. Again, not bad by the 3 technique here, pretty good. Good by the end. And I'd like to see this end stay in his gap. I don't believe we have any movement. That looks like a little bit of a movement by him skinning out. We call it a skin technique. I'm not sure if we had a skin called there or not, but it looks like he's slide stepping dipping and ripping up into that gap. Okay, what we call triples formation, still 2 tight ends. They got 2 tight ends in the game. Our corners are traveled over. Safeties are still lining up 10 by 2, 9 by 2. Again, we got the strength of the run to the right side, so we got a 9, a 3 technique, a 2-eye right there, and we got a 5 technique on the backside. In the front, staying the same. Great penetration by the D-line, getting in their gaps. And they got problems in the backfield. Anytime our D-line causes havoc in the backfield, we know we got a good play. So the 9, the 3, the 2-eye, the 5, getting off the ball. Again, we end up being pretty good. Ball goes that way. They're blocking down, pulling. He's in that gap. Like to be a little bit firmer, but they still can't get the ball outside. You know, they're trying to pull, you know, he got one of the pulls. They're really trying to pull 2 guys. They're trying to pull this guy and that guy. Well, this guy kind of helped get us back in balance. But, again, nice job by the 3 technique. The end chasing it down, good penetration by our boundary end. Again, looking at the base alignments, as we talked earlier, 50 alignment by the boundary linebacker, never moves. Because we have that tight end there, we're in a G. The mic kicks over to what we call 10 weak. Okay, and our field backer should move what we call 40 technique, head up on that guy, as opposed to his 50 alignment. Get to a little bit of a spread set here. Okay, we talked about this 3 by 1. Okay, 3 receivers by 1. We're going to put the front to the boundary. We should have our 3 technique over here. Actually, we got empty here to start off with. Sorry about it. We had empty trips here, but we still have a tight end here. So we got the strength is to the right. So we got a 9, a 3, a 2-eye, and a 5. Guy goes in back in motion backfield. So now we just got a 2 by 2 set. We're in G. Okay. Again, everybody's in their gap to start off with. We're going to give our guys freedom. We're not going to be statues. This guy, this defensive end, see how wide he lines, Marcus Rush. He lines up wide. You can see he's stepping up to take on the C gap, but he's like, this guy's, you know, he's really not being very aggressive. And he goes, I think I just beat him inside, and just goes inside. Our other backers and our safeties will fix these D linemen, whether they got reached and played with bad technique, or as you stepped up and you said, man, I can beat this guy inside, and you go beat him inside. It's a great play by Marcus Rush, and we're going to give our defensive linemen that freedom to go make plays. We don't want them to just be a magnet and, hey, run into guys, stick your hands into them, let them hold you in the chest, and don't worry about getting off, let someone else make a play. We want guys to make plays, okay? And, you know, at the previous part of this talk, we talked about MAP, making plays. We want to be physical. It's a great job by William Golston shooting his hands and just knocking the tight end backwards like he doesn't exist. That's what you got to do, is play with a lot of power when we play our base. Again, another one-back set. Again, you got the 9, the 3, playing G with a 2-eye, playing a 5 technique. Backers walked out halfway between end man on line of scrimmage and the receiver. Because it's a 2 by 2, nobody has to move. A little bit of quarterback run. We got window open, backer fills it. Safety's ready to go. So just a quarterback ISO. Again, this receiver can only block one of these guys. He gets a safety, then our corner's right there to make a play. Great job by our boundary end too. But there's your 2-eye. Again, 2-eye, pretty good by this team running the ball to the tight end. Probably don't want to run the ball right there. So we're hopefully going to force people to run the ball where they don't really necessarily want to. Here's a great picture of our backer being in halfway alignment. Okay, a little bit hesitant stepping in the box, but a great example of how, number one, dangerous it is by people getting clipped in the box like that. We hope that gets called by an official. but you hope nobody gets hit in the back with the receiver's head in the back, but he can't be blocked. Great example, he cannot be blocked. If that ball cuts back right there, he's going to make that hit. D-tackle, again, there's your 600 pounds, okay, versus 300 pounds. And we can sit there and say, that guy, he's got to be better than that. Okay, D-tackle's not great, but he's not bad for 600 on 300. Great job by the defensive end coming back in and retracing and getting in on a tackle. Again, working all the way to the spread set, so we talked about getting lined up into it one way or another. Again, looks like the strength is to the left. We got a 3, okay, a 5 or a ghost 9, 2-eye there, 5 technique there. Got people up looking like they're blitzing, okay, looking like they're blitzing, looking like it's some type of man coverage. You know, 3-yard line, trying to run the ball inside, but there's your 2-eye. They run it towards the 2-eye. Okay, should occupy both the center and the guard here by being in a 2-eye. So there's your 2-eye, and again, really turns from the 2, lets that guy get free. That guy should never get free. Really, put this one on here because that guy should show up here. That's not what we want. There's no reason for me to line you up in a 2-eye and then you go run over here. That's not what we want, especially if they're running the ball this way. If he'd play a proper technique and go straight ahead, shoot his hands into number 73 there, he'd be right where you need him to be. Our backside backer would be there, and we'd feel a little bit better. But we still got guys that can't be blocked. Watch the backer out of the box, step up in there. He takes on 73, squeezes it down, knocks him in. Again, how many times have you seen a tailback run in the back end of an offensive lineman? Okay, we'll use them as our blockers. Fill the hole with their body. Again, now we got to get a trip set 3 by 1 on the backside. Again, so these two should bump over to a 30 technique. And obviously he's halfway again in between the end man line of scrimmage and the receiver. Again, backer out of the box, halfway alignment. Out, can't get him, goes up to the safety. Again, doesn't get blocked coming into the box versus all these spread sets. Okay, we obviously treated this thing. You can see Max Bull, our middle linebacker, pretty smart guy, changes the front here. Again, here's our Ghost 9, our 3 technique, our 2-eye, and he could scoot down just a little bit more here. But again, we're treating that guy as not a tight end, okay? We're treating it as more like a 3 by 3 receivers detached versus 1, okay? And we end up fitting it pretty darn good. Again, in his gap, okay. Like to see him right there. Okay, if he's right there, that guard can't get off on our linebacker. We're feeling pretty good right there. Again, 2 receivers by 2 receivers to start off with. Nobody's got to move. You can see he's got the easy job lined up halfway. Okay, we'll see what the front looks like when we get to the end zone, but it looks like our 3 is there. Our Ghost 9 is there, which was a little bit wider, 5 and a 2-eye. As that guy goes in motion, now these backers should bump over. See how they get back over to bump trips, which is a 30 alignment by both of them. They both get over to 30s. Get a little inside run. Watch from the end zone. Again, there's your 3, there's your 2-eye. They want to run the ball weak. You can see how we eat up both of those linemen there. Good job by the D end. Everybody's in their gap. This is one of those perfect ones, which again, rarely are we perfect, but everybody's playing their gap. Okay, you can see the backs are coming down, don't have a whole lot to fill. And again, this guard wants to combo off into the mic, but he can't because that 3 technique's doing such a great job. Again, he would like to come off and get that backer, but this guy steps properly this time, eats up both of them, and again, nobody blocks 23. The next front I'm going to talk about is our over front. And I don't need to get up there, okay, our over eye front. I don't need to get up on the board and really show you much here as far as getting with the TV. But again, over eye tells you we're going to play what we call 4-eye, okay? And we don't do it a ton, but again, another variation where we want to move now that 1-3 technique, move them out to a 4-eye technique. Again, changing the front just a little bit, okay? So anytime we call over eye, it's over, but eye is telling the call side tackle he can move to 4-eye. Everything is the same for all these guys on the back end, corners, safeties, and linebackers. Nothing changes. We'll go right to the tape. Alignments are all the same. Here's first of all how we line up and what we adjust to a trade. We don't do it all the time. Sometimes we'll shift the line over. It all depends on what our game plan going into the game, the particular game is. But we got a strength call to the left side here. So we got a 9 and a 3 over here, a 1 and a 5. The tight end shifts. There's a change. Mike linebacker calls a new thing. You can see how our 3 technique picks up and goes to the other side. You know, like I said, we'll change when we do that. You can see he lines up in a 3 tech. Now again, we call it over eye. Eye is telling you that guy is going to move to a 4-eye, okay? He's going to move to a 4-eye, which is inside shoulder of the offensive tackle. When and why do we want to play a 4-eye? Why do we want to play a 4-eye with that guy? Tight end run, okay? Or strong run. If they run it to the split end, it's bad, okay? We don't run a ton because it's not as sound, but if they're going to run it to the tight end, we're going to try to sprinkle it in as much as we can. So watching the 3 technique there, watch how at the last second he moves into a 4-eye. He changed up his hand because he got to put his hand from the alignment he's playing on, and we try to clog stuff up so they can't run it to the tight end. So it's our strongest tight end run team or call that we have. We're still playing with a 1 and a 4-eye. We're moving people towards the tight end. That's what we call our over eye. Okay, so we start off with the 3 technique here, left call, then the strength is to the right. Again, making that offensive guard think he's in a 3. And then the last second he switches over, goes to the other side. Now he's going to fight into the 4-eye. Okay, and he goes maybe a little bit too far, but he knows why we're calling it. We're thinking tight end run, and it gives everybody cleared up. We got 3 guys. Here's what you'd like to see is they got 4 blockers over here. We only have 3 defenders, and we got it all clogged up. That means it's going to set somebody else free. Okay, we got 1 there, 1 there. Okay, we got 2 on 1 here. So that's what we call our 4-eye. Next one here, again run it versus any set, just whatever fits your game plan. Again, that guy's in a 3 technique right now. Well, looks like he's in a 3 right now, and you'll see he scoots over, puts his outside hand down, he's in a 4-eye. We'll see it from the end zone, but nothing changed. You can see where the corner presses, plays off, the alignment of the safeties. He's lined up halfway. Backers, it's trips, so they should be in 30s. What to play? Where'd they run the ball? To the tight end, so the 4-eye should help us over there a little bit. It ends up helping us. So, you know, we'd like to stem a little bit more than that. Quarterback's really not ready to snap the ball. Okay, so there's your 1, there's your 4-eye. Again, should be very strong to the tight end side. We would never run a 4-eye, okay, and a G, okay? We don't want to run a 2-eye and a 4-eye. 2 eyes will get you gashed right up the middle, okay, right in that area right there where we don't want to give it up, okay? And you'll see one clip in here. I think I put one in there where the nose tackle, you know, doesn't know the other guy is in a 4-eye and he lines up in a 2-eye. But in the gap, in the gap, in the gap, in the gap. So we're 4 for 4 there, and the backers are downhill. And again, you can see 1 technique, center block back. He's pushing, squeezing, ends up getting in on a tackle, and it's a nice job by the 4-eye trying to protect that B gap. Again, you can see our 3 technique. Again, is in a 3 right now. Blue 18, blue 18. Quarterback's checking, doing all kinds of stuff. He'll shift over. There he is. He flips over and gets to a 4-eye, which should be a little bit different. And you can see they end up not being able to cut off that guard. Okay, 3 technique. That guard saying, "Hey, I got him by myself. I can get him." And all of a sudden he moves to a 4-eye and they can't get him. Again, defensive end in his gap. Nose tackle looks like he's okay in his gap. Yes, he is. And again, you got 4 guys in their gap. Against a good football team, you can make plays. So he'll move from a 3 to a 4-eye there. And again, to start off with, in that 3, he's saying, hey, you don't need any help, do you? Right there, he's saying, you don't need any help, do you? He goes, no, I got him. Okay, hey, I'm going to come out and help you so you can keep going. Okay? Then all of a sudden he stems. That's the beauty of stemming. And all of a sudden now there is no help. And then an outside run, we want to make an outside run, turn back inside. If we make an outside run, turn back inside, comes back to our defensive end, to our backers, to our safeties, then we feel like we got a pretty good play. Again, a little bit of disguise with the back end. Try to make them think you got something going on. Okay. Again, to start off with, though, again, backers halfway aligned. Okay, it's 2 receivers over there, 2 receivers over there. So these 2 are staying at 10 and a 50 alignment. A little show. It looks like we're going to play a different coverage here. So again, we're playing a little bit of 1 alert. But again, nothing changes. We're playing a little cover 1, okay, man free, but nothing changes with our front. We're still going to play that 4-eye there. Now, the only difference is that backer is now going to be in the box. Okay, we're going to get all 3 backers in the box in this look, just to give them a different look. But as far as the front goes, we can mix it up, like we said earlier, with any coverage we want. So there you go, a little 4-eye. You know, defensive end ends up coming inside here. I wish he'd stay outside, but he ends up coming in, at least making the tailback bounce like that, which is always good for a defense if you got tailback bounce in the ball. But he could play with better technique for sure. And then the last one, we got just a little bit of it, is what we call, I should say there's 2 more to go, is our jam front, which is when we move our 9 technique to head up on the tight end, okay? And now he ends up being a C-gap player, okay? So he talks about G, he is an I, he is what we call a jam player. So those are the 3 different fronts we've talked about so far. So here's just a little bit of tape on this one, what we call our jam front. We don't run it a ton. You can see our end is head up on the tight end to inside I, and he's playing inside now. Again, we call it over jam, 3, a 1. The only time he plays a G is when we call it G. It's over jam. Okay, you got your 5 technique, and now you're taking your 9 technique, again, stemming them down inside to what we call 6-eye or 7 technique. Again, I wish he'd shoot his hands and be a little bit more firm. He probably would have made the play. It was a little bit firmer there. Same thing. We got strength is to the right. End's going to play inside there. You got your 5. It looks like it might be G. We might have called this one G jam. Okay. We can play these 2 fronts together. I'll explain that in a sec as soon as we get to the end zone. Backers walked out halfway between the end man line of scrimmage and the number 2 receiver, which they're stacked here. He comes in the box, shouldn't be able to get blocked. Got to make the play. Again, we called G for him, okay? So we can call it, we can tag these together. We can call G jam. So we'll strengthen ourselves a little bit over here, but we're also moving that guy inside shoulder, what we call 6-eye technique. You may call it a 7 technique. Again, what is G good for? Split end run. So that should help us making him there. Jam should be great if they're running the ball that way. We've moved our D linemen where they're moving, so we're guessing well right here. Defensive end squeezing down, again, makes it cut all the way back outside of him, and then to the point where our corner can go ahead and make that tackle, making it bounce. So the jam front here, again, the end's inside, trying to run a quarterback power in there. They got a problem. We'll look at it from the end zone here. Again, your 5, your 1 this time, 3 technique, playing inside shoulder on the tight end. They decide not to block him this time in arc release. in the end is able to fit up in there and help make a play. Same front, playing inside the tight end, jam front. This looks like, again, over jam, not G jam. Trying to run the ball outside. Watch from the end zone. Again, same exact alignment for everybody up front. 5, 1, 3, stemmed inside. Again, pretty firm. We're forcing the ball, again, to go outside. And our backer, again, should be able to fit outside and get up and make a play. And our last front, again, don't have a ton of tape on this. We really use, our jam. We use our I, and we use our G. This would be the last one we'd use, is what we call over cage, where we again move our boundary, or excuse me, our 5 technique to a head-up alignment on the offensive tackle. Okay. When we do this, we'd like to not be a statue and probably move a little bit. We don't get to do a lot of them, but again, why would you do this? When would you do this? If you're facing a team and you know that they're going to be pulling the guard. Obviously, it's great for tight end run because you got your one technique and you've moved this lineman towards the tight end. Okay, so if you really knew the team is going to run to the tight end all day, you could really run over I, cage, and play with a 4-eye, play with a 1, and even kick this guy head up, and you're moving everybody towards where they're running. So that's the premises of moving all those guys. So we're moving that guys that way. Again, if they're pulling a lot of linemen there and this guy's going to have troubles cutting you off, whether it's a trap team where they're pulling the backside guard and trapping your 3 or trapping someone up front, anytime that guard's moving is when we'd like to, if we had a great tendency of someone doing that, we'd like to get into that cage front. Obviously, if they're running the ball out here, you don't want to really be in a cage front. If they're running outside zone, or running split side run because you're getting pinned in there by one of your big guys. But we have a way of getting everybody where we want to. He ends up kind of falling out of the thing, and again, it's putting a defensive end against a 340-pounder, but we'll probably see from the end zone, we end up bringing just a little bit of a blitz off that edge too, just to tighten up the edge. But you'll see him stem down late to that point right there to get in the cage. Again, still playing with a 1, playing with a 3, and playing with a 9 on the other side. Again, he gets wheeled out of that gap. And again, it's a physical mismatch at times, playing a defensive end on a big tackle head up and not playing him in a gap. So that's one with a little pressure there. Again, this would be our cage end here, away from the tight end. You can see him stem down into it. And again, getting up in there and again, still bringing a little bit of pressure off that edge, trying to make things bounce, and again, moved them towards the tight end, which should eliminate any possible tight end cut back into that C gap. So moving them up, head up. Now we're going to talk about some of those stunts. So we talked about our base, attacking, playing our gaps. Now we're going to start to move a little bit, which once we get our movement in there and we start to not be those statues up and we start having a way to move each one of these guys up, we're going to send some guys loose where they're not going to get blocked. We hope there's a bunch of linemen going, oops, you didn't, I missed you, because we're so much up the field, all of a sudden now we're lateral and moving into a gap. With this move, coaching points that need to be taken care of before we get going is the natural progression for a kid that knows, hey, I got to move into this B gap, as this picture shows here, is to tighten his alignment down to get there, okay? That's the last thing we want to do, okay? We coach the heck out of him of trying to stay loose, and you'll see some cuts where he looks tighter. Some of the younger guys are going to be tighter, some of the older guys are going to figure it out and they'll be looser, but their job is to get in that gap if that window opens up, and that's what we call B gap window. If that tackle would go down and close that window, well, as he slides down, he's just going to come off his tail, and we don't need him to get into that gap. There's no need to go bury. We don't want to bury ourselves in front of that guy and get washed. We only want to be in there if the ball's coming towards us or that hole opens up where we can slip through there. We want to use the athletic ability and all the speed we have in our field to our advantage, not against us. So coaching point, align in your normal alignment or looser, not in your normal alignment or tighter. We want to be looser in alignment if you're moving, okay? Hopefully it's the same stance and same alignment that you always have. We don't want to change our stance at all. We want our feet to look the same. We want our shoulder balance and being level with our shoulders in all respects, okay? We can run these with any front. This is a picture of a G5er. We can run over 9er or over 5er. We can run I5er. So all those fronts we can tie into these movements as well to get something. So this is what we call the rush end. A 5er is the 5 technique taking the B gap. Okay, so we're now going to, again, make everything look the same disguise-wise. And now these are the stunts that we talk about. I think they're all essential in having in this base front. I don't think we could survive sitting up there just staying in that same gap all the time. We're going to make a lot of big plays when we start to move our guys around. So we'll go into the videotape now. Okay, here are some 5ers. And again, we're going to slip through these quickly. I want to hit the high points. But we know what the 5er, everybody else is looking the same. So again, you can see our corners. I'm going to go right back to where we were when we played over at the beginning. Everything looks the same on the back end. You can see the linebackers look the same. Hopefully there's no indicators as far as something's happening, whether it's a blitz or movement up front. You can see there goes our 5er. Now we're taking that gap, and our end's going to come through. Okay, it's run away from us. Okay, so he comes through that gap. There's a little bit of an opening, and again, all he needs to see is that little window open right there. That little open up, he's going. He comes through there, gets held a little bit, and is still able to get in the gap. Again, it's over 5er. It's talking to one guy, okay? So we have different ways. If we want to line that guy head up, we call cage. But instead of calling cage, I would rather move that guy there as opposed to lining him up and saying, hey, I'll take my 250-pound really fast end against your 350-pound end. I would rather that guy have to catch our fast guy, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are playing with those same undersized, quick defense alignment as opposed to, a big, if I had a 300-pound DM, well, then I'd line him head up on the guy and say, go ahead, you guys can sit there and hold each other and dance all day. I want to use athletic ability. So, again, coaching point, probably a little bit too tight, okay? Probably a little bit too tight. And I can sometimes tell by his first step. See how he stepped inside thinking, I got to take we don't want that guy thinking, take away the inside move. Okay, so he lines up maybe a little bit too light or tight, but we're still able to squeeze through there, get flat, and go make a play. Everybody else is playing the same. He's playing a 9, he's playing a 3, he's playing a 1 or a 2-eye, depending on what we got. And this looks like it's called G5er here. Okay, so that's what we're playing. Here's another 5er. Okay, again, showing pressure off of here. This looks like a G-jam 5er, okay? So you're seeing us mix up the fronts. You can see the DN stems to jam, so tying it all in together. Corner looks like he's blitzing, but he's not. There's a 5er. You got this 350-pound offensive tackle whiffing, spinning around, going, which way did he go? And we got a TFL. So this is when we start to play base, and all of a sudden we move. Our kids are always saying, Coach, we need to move more. Can we move more? They're begging to be able to move. Now, number 44, smart guy. Again, you can see how much space is in there. The reason we want to play loose is that guy's got to take a big old step to come get us. Okay? If we line up tight, he takes a little step. He's not too far off bounds. But if he's got to go reach to get us, he's going to have a hard time reacting back when we move inside. So watch the step he takes, and it's like, it's too late. It's too late. Now, this fullback's got to be busy blocking his guy, and he wanted to block this guy. He can't do that. Now we got one D end, a 250-pound D end taking up 300 pounds there and another 250 there, and now we got other people coming free. So these are the different stunts that we want to get going and cause havoc in the backfield. Here's again another 5er. We'll show you probably 4 or 5 of these, 3 or 4 of them. Okay, again, we got a change of a formation here. Here we go. We got a right call again. 9, 3, 1 technique, 5 technique, 5er's going in there. If the tight end were to trade, well then he would be the 5 technique and he would be executing the stunt. They end up changing. You can see we changed the front here. So right now, if they snap the ball, he's running the 5er. Okay, they change it. The Mike linebacker says, oh, tight end to the right side. We change it up. We're saying this is the strength now. Now the 5er's coming from the back side here. But you can see the DN's tight. He doesn't adjust well. He ends up giving it away with the slide step right there. But they're still having troubles blocking him. You can see 44 has got a great alignment here. He's going to make that guy reach. Again, if this guy goes down there, he's going to slide and he's going to come right off his tail and run what we call the heels of the offensive lineman. So now he's the 5 technique, he's the 9 technique, or ghost 9, he's running the 5er. Again, the alignment's not bad, I guess. He's not a terrible alignment, it's a base alignment there, but he gives it away a little bit. That's the number one player taken in the draft last year, struggling to get his hands on that defensive end. Again, from the overview here, it looks like the end's a little bit tight. He ends up coming up through the gap. You can see how clean he's coming. Talk about penetrating. He's the only guy in the backfield. Okay. Now they're running the ball this way, so it's like, he could have made a big hit in the backfield, but he can't make it. As far as a gigantic hit, but the quarterback ends up pulling it, so he still ends up getting in on a tackle. But it could be a big hit had they been running at him as opposed to away from him. But again, don't like the alignment there. Like to see some more space, more air in there. But again, offensive tackle, they like to block the 5 technique, block the 5 technique, block the 5 technique. All of a sudden now the 5 technique's what we call slide step, dip and rip, and he slips into the gap, and they got problems blocking him. Okay, here's our 9er. Okay, and you can imagine what the 9er is. Okay, 9er is the 9 technique now making the same move. Okay, you can see it right down there. The call end executes a take into the C gap. Okay, all the same coaching points. Okay, so there's carryover for all these guys on what they're doing. Okay, so we'll go right to the video. Okay, you can see we got, again, another disguise. These guys look like they're blitzing off that side. Okay, look like they're blitzing off side. This guy is the 9 technique. Okay, the strength is to the right side, so he's going to be coming inside the C gap there. Okay, well, this time they block him. Okay, they step towards him. Tight end does a good job of blocking him, but boom. We got a defensive end taking on 2 guys at the line of scrimmage, and hopefully somebody else is going to make a play. Now, we'll see why this play pops up through us, but you don't always come free. Okay, here's our base front versus 2 tight ends. So a 9, a 3, a 2-eye, and a 5 technique. Boom, great job there. He does a great job, so the 9er is good. Okay, you can see our 3 technique here doesn't step properly. He's supposed to be in the B gap, so that's probably going to be our biggest problem is now he's there. Okay, our backer doesn't get over top. We need to get our backside backer in that gap right there. He kind of gets, roped around there by the offensive tackle. He does a good job showing here, but he doesn't get back early enough. His base alignment should be back getting to a 50. Watch how late he is getting. This is the little things. See how he's in a whatever you want to call it, a 70 technique right there. He's too wide, and now he can't efficiently get over top of that lineman. If he would have lined up in a 50, he would have easily got over top of it. But he's at the line of scrimmage. He's not heels at 5. He's struggling to get over top, and that's when he gets blocked right there. So we'd like to get him over top. We'd like to see the 3 technique stay in his gap. And we give up a few yards there. Okay, another 9er. Again, strength is here. 44 will be the one on the take to the C gap. Again, tight end didn't open the window, so as he slide steps, comes down, he's just going to play just like a normal 9, spill it like you saw in some of the early clips. And this is a great example of how he spills, the backer spills, and then spill it to safety. He still can't block that safety. Now, you can block yourself if you don't make the play, but it's a great example of just how we're going to continue to kick the ball to the sideline, and if we have to, let it go all the way to the sideline, let the 12th man make that tackle. So again, look at his alignment. Now he's going down to block the mic, so he'll just come off it and be right in position to spill the fullback. You can see his first step. He's coming down to get across. There's no window open, so he just continues on his course. We'd like to see him penetrate, okay, and pry and knock that fullback back into the guard. We'd like to see him take 2 of those guys, okay? But backer ends up getting a piece of it. Our safety's there. We'd like to see the safety make the play there or continue to bounce right to our corner who's unblocked. Okay, strength is over here. This is a young defensive end here, so I'm going to assume he's not lined up great, but he ends up dipping and ripping, getting into his gap, and just a little late, he ends up probably giving an assist there. But a little bit tight in his alignment because he could have got buried and washed down in here. This is a great example of where you might not want to be. Okay, I guess the guy stepped at him. He tried to base block him, so the window does open up. He's perfect there. Just wish he was a little bit wider. If he was a little bit wider, that guy's going to take a wider gap. It's going to be a bigger hole for him to run through. There won't be. I don't want a whole lot of that friction. I don't want to give that guy a chance to hold on to him. Okay, grab that arm and not let him get flat and make that play. We want to make that offensive line. If he's going to hold us, he's got to reach out, so we'll get a call, not what I guess the referees call legal hold. Okay, here's another niner up top. Again, you can see the tight end's not going to block him, so he'll come off his tail. Ends up getting in on a tackle. Again, lines up nice alignment right there. Obviously 44 knows how to line. He understands why he lines up loose. Tight end's kind of stuttering off the line for Georgia there, but it comes off flat, off his tail. What we don't want him to do is come in there and then just get washed. Okay, so if that guy doesn't block you, then come off his tail and be in position to make a tackle. Stab is a niner plus what we call a tag technique, which the 3 technique goes inside 2. So it's a 2-man movement, okay? Call end and call side tackle, execute a take into the B gap. A few of these. Again, now it's a 2-man. It's both the 9 and the 3 going inside. Again, you mix these up, whoever you're playing, based on what you're seeing and what kind of mismatches that you like. But again, you can see that it's no different than a niner for him. Everything's coached the same. 3 techniques doing the same thing. Again, line it up in the B gap, taking the A gap. And it's a nice 5 technique here by the backside end, getting off the ball, not letting that guard get around and getting in the backfield. So there's your loose 9. 3 technique doesn't get much loose. He just wants him being his basic, so we're going to get that on a stab. It's G, stab, and he's in a 5 technique. So slide step by the D lineman and dip and rip up into your gap. Same thing, 2 tight ends. So we got a 5 technique on the backside. Stab is the front side. You can see the window open up. Tight end goes to base block the end. He slides, gets up in that gap, and boom, right on the tailback. So there's 2 guys moving right there. Again, goes out to get that normal technique he's in. Nice job by the 5 technique. Pretty much everybody's in their gap, being firm. Again, another niner here. Again, could have been a huge hit. Again, they're looking to the sideline. Again, lines up a little tighter than I'd like, but ends up working out for him. Tight end kind of goes, oh, I can't get him. Let's think somebody else is going to block him. I don't think so. So movement hurts. There's another one. Stab. Looks like our 9 or 3 over here. So those are the 2 guys moving. Again, they end up clogging up. Again, you might get blocked. You don't come clean all the time. They end up getting blocked. But again, our other players in the, that are coming in the box end up making a tackle. So you're not necessarily coming free every time. So the call side. Again, good alignment. Boom, boom. Cancel in the B and the A right there. So they're exactly right. Looks like this guy's involved in it as well. But it's usually a 2-man movement. And again, the next 2-man movement is a blade, which ends up being a 5 technique going inside. So it's a 5er and what we call a nag, where the nose goes across face. So you can see rush end and the nose executing a take into the opposite A and B. So again, a stab would be these 2 guys, and a blade would be those 2 guys. Okay, blades, for the ends, or just like fivers, stabs, or just like niners for the ends. So again, these two guys are coming across face. We can run it out of over or G. So this looks like G blade. We got an NFL center whiffing on a defensive tackle and making a big play in the backfield. Again, game-changing plays with movement with athletic guys. So again, same thing for the nose tackle. We don't want to just always line up in a one technique and do that, because there's a chance he's aligned that way. We'd rather stretch them, be lined up over here, make that guy come get us, and we come across and come clean where nobody touches you. Have a hard time holding you there. If he holds on to him, hopefully these guys here and that referee back there will end up making that call. Same thing, again, good alignment. We're not giving it away, making the guy reach for us, okay, which is going to slow him down in his base defense and make them wonder how aggressive they can come after us, because they know there's a threat of movement. Again, same blade. Again, picking and choosing when and where to use it. We just don't throw it in the game plan. We try to pick and choose. But again, boom, boom. So hopefully we got guys running loose in the backfield. Okay, again, this is the call site, so the blade's coming from these two guys. You see 44 opens it up, tackle's going, oh gosh. And again, it ends up being a G, so both of these two guys are coming on the blade. Okay, these are our run stunts to change gap responsibilities, and it changes gap responsibilities for the backers. With all these stunts, and we're moving these guys up front, we're just not calling them for just to throw them out there and say we have them in the game plan. We have a bunch of them in our game plan based on what an offense is doing, and we know we can go to these if we're struggling with a problem and we need to move a guy or we need to slant into a gap. So those are used and built in, and you're seeing them against different teams as you watch some of that tape, but they're there if we need them, and they're not just in every, they're not there just to run them and see what happens, okay? So they're there for a reason, and as we go through the game plans, we think, hey, this fiver, this niner, stabber, blade would be good calls for us in this game plan. Well, we hope you've learned a lot from our fronts and stunts today. The one thing I hope you've learned, number one, is that you don't have to get in a bunch of different fronts and change all the fits for all your kids. There's just slight adjustments to one front that can give you a chance to be successful against offenses throughout the country. I hope you understand with all our movements and stunts up front, our 1- and 2-man movements, that as we move those guys, we hope it changes. You're not just blocking a statue, you're blocking a moving target, which becomes real hard for an offense, and those can make some big plays for you in the future. We really appreciate it, Michigan State University, and in behalf of Coach D'Antonio and the staff, that you come out and visit us for spring ball sometime and watch some of these techniques used. Thank you very much.